I gotta talk about topics now. I've been avoiding it by playing Halo Wars 2, mostly because I don't want to have to look at this man's face. For those who don't know, this is Paul Joseph Watson, and he used to work with InfoWars, and he's been a meme on a bunch of channels, and there's a lot of people who thought that he just kind of dropped off in relevance one day because, I don't know, H. Bomber Guy made fun of him enough, but it turns out his channel is in fact getting hundreds of thousands of views because he posts daily content. Not unlike I do, but that daily content has a legacy audience that really, really likes being enraged. So, let's go ahead and take a listen to what he's mad about this time.
POV, you stumble across a group of people who look like this.
I'm saying this as an English person. Yeah.
All right, POV, you stumble across a person who look like this. All right, so what does look like this? So, this one is a redhead wearing a hoodie. Okay, yep, no, I see it. One less soul in the group, got it. This one has, I guess, cat ears, maybe? It's hard to tell with the blurriness of the video. This one is just a dude with a goatee and a ponytail. What am I supposed to take from that? And this guy has hair that's dyed red, but, like, why is that something that I should care about? So, this is the epitome of fucking boomer content, right? Where you know what somebody is going to assume about this group of people based on their age range. If somebody is younger, they'll look at this and go, okay, yeah, people dress differently. Weird. If somebody's in my group, I would go, okay, cool. Yeah, that's probably a group of either queer people or people who are trying to be edgy. One of the two. And if you're a boomer, it's like, look at them, Satans. It's just, they're just people. People are people.
Get ready to hear some of the worst hot takes ever.
One question we were asking, we're making a video asking 100 Brits about Trump.
He said Trump.
What is that? What is that? What is the what is that? What is the point of that? That confuses me. So, again, it's lowest common denominator bullshit. It is the kind of thing where they're not laughing because they said the word Trump. Anybody with half a brain can tell that they're laughing because they said, hey, we're asking 100 Brits this. It's an absurd premise for a video, but an easy video to pull off.
Depends if you don't mind getting demonetized or not.
Yeah.
Ooh, it's gonna get edgy.
He's a fucking fascist.
Come on, you can do better than that.
Okay, so there's a video that Movies with Mark made recently about how people go and become more and more edgy. The origin of gamer words, basically. And so I want to go ahead and point out something that he made comment on in his video. And that was that when you get on the internet and you start trying to insult people for the first time, you're in a video game, heat of the moment, and you use the word jerk. The word jerk, this is the exact example he used. You use the word jerk, and the word jerk, the guy just laughs at it because it's not insulting enough. So then you go with asshole, and then maybe that gets a bit more of a rise. And then you start digging further and further for something that can be more insulting, more problematic. And eventually you just get kind of used to saying that. I'm going to go ahead and say this right now. I can't think of few things worse to be called than a fascist if somebody is actually using the historical definition of fascism. If somebody is calling somebody else somebody who exemplifies the actual ideologies of Adolf Hitler and Benito Mussolini, then that is a person who I don't want to be. That is equivalent to calling somebody a rapist or an abuser, because that is what those people did in their own countries. They took away the ability for anybody else to have any amount of fucking consent in and around their countries as they went on their bloody fucking campaigns. So, yeah, no, I don't see this whole, like, why don't you find something more insulting? No, they used the word that they thought was correct. And Umberto Eco would be right on this one, too.
Ask anyone on the street and they will tell you the exact same thing.
Go on then, say it.
My co-workers tell me on a regular basis they wish he was shot.
Honestly, yeah. Get better aim, you guys. I thought you guys were
for real. Should have missed, what was it, the third time? Third time's the charm.
Laughs in spiteful mutant.
Third time's the charm.
Yeah, gonna have to try for a fourth time, guys, because you.
So, again, what is the appeal of that joke? They laughed and then he just gives mocking laughter back. What is that? So I would imagine that he's saying you can do better to imply that he doesn't think Trump is a fascist. Maybe. Or that he just doesn't find it insulting. Being perfectly honest, this is why I say that Paul Joseph watching shit is just bottom of the barrel. It's barely commentary at that point.
Really not sending your best.
He's not popular.
He's not popular. We don't like him, therefore he must die.
The boats, the people coming.
Okay, no. That's not the argument that's made. At all. And you know that. Anybody across the seas who wants Trump to expire likely wants Trump to expire because of the policies he's enacted, the way that he has acted, the fact that he raped children, the fact that he raped E. Jean Carroll. There's plenty of reasons to want that, and none of them are he's unpopular so he should die, like some weird contorted version of that one episode of the Orville where that was literally how they determined that people would die. Again, lowest bottom of the barrel commentary. There is no actual insight given there.
On boats. This is probably the biggest issue in English politics or UK politics right now. What do you guys think about it?
Rolls eyes in Reddit.
Let them in. We fucked up their countries enough. They can come here and chill out. We're
We've
good.
caused all of this fucking mess for everyone all over the world, and now we're complaining that they're coming here.
Okay, so it's revenge. Is this revenge? Is this...
No, that's not what they said. Nobody said the word revenge, and they didn't even imply revenge. Saying, oh yeah, one of the reasons people have had to leave countries that have unstable regimes is because the United States and the United Kingdom have actively had a hand in destabilizing regimes across the planet, or destabilizing governments across the planet, turning them into regimes eventually because it benefits us economically. And so people flee to a safer place because it turns out that the place that fucked up their country still might be a safer place than the country they are leaving. There's nothing about that that says anything about revenge. But again, bottom of the barrel commentary. He has to read into people's actions things that aren't even aren't even implied.
It's revenge? Is this revenge?
They're doing nothing wrong. We should be proud of the fact that people want to come to this country.
Also, that was a series of hasty generalization fallacies. So the hasty generalization fallacy is when you use an example of something, hotel migrant guilty of gang rape and a convicted murder, a bad thing. There's nobody who could argue this is a good thing. But when you show a thing like this, you are doing it to elicit a response. None of this happens in a vacuum. And the response you are wanting when you show something like this is for people to look at that and go, oh, I see. So that's what they're like. Jessica says, so Epstein's suicide note was just released? Oh, send me a link to it, I guess. But yeah, no, it's just a hasty generalization fallacy. You show an example of something in order to say that everybody is like this. So like, if I were to take Paul Joseph Watson's asinine bottom of the barrel commentary and argue that every single conservative commentator operates exactly like this, that would be disingenuous. Most do, not all. That would be very disingenuous because it doesn't encompass everybody. Ben Shapiro's method of dealing with shit, Matt Walsh's method of dealing with shit, Michael Knowles' method of dealing with shit, and Alex Jones's method of dealing with shit are all going to be different from each other. They all have their very own approaches to how they do shit. So saying Paul Joseph Watson is emblematic of all of them would just be a lie, and it would be fallacious. And yet, he does the same thing here.
Revenge.
They're doing nothing wrong. We should be proud of the fact that people want to come to this country. Because, I mean, I don't know why they do.
Yeah, free housing, free cash, and free healthcare might have something to do with it.
So, is the United Kingdom giving carte blanche free housing to immigrants and carte blanche free healthcare to immigrants? I don't know if that's necessarily true. But he's not going to pull up a source for that, so whatever.
Immigration to keep this country afloat, but there's no point stopping these boats. We should give them safer routes in and help them have a healthy, safe life.
A healthy, safe life, really? These people live in Dundee, where this happened, and where this happened.
Another grooming gang, another city. This time, Dundee. Driving the street.
Again, hasty generalization fallacy. It's not giving you information so that you can just have it in a vacuum. It is giving you information so that you will assume that all or most migrants are part of these gang rapes.
They trapped 10 troubled local women as young as 16.
And this is who the perpetrators were.
They're doing nothing wrong.
Again, this is just hasty generalization fallacy of the video. Also, the UK isn't giving free houses to migrants. Asylum seekers or people who manage to get on student visas aren't actually eligible for social housing at all, apparently. They are instead housed in temporary managed accommodation, like hotels or former military sites, while their claims are processed. They are given a place to stay temporarily while they are moved through the fucking red tape and bureaucracy. That's not just free housing. That's the equivalent of being in a temporary homeless shelter. Some are nicer than others, some are worse than others, just like hotels. Hotels generally are nicer than homeless shelters, but in terms of form and function, that is how they are operating with these people. I just had to look it up on the other monitor because that seemed like a bogus claim, and I figured he was incorrect, but I wanted to do my due diligence.
Dundee, where teenage girls are so sick of being...
Jepatique says, just a bunch of articles flashed up with no sources or context. Right, so there's another person who uses this exact method to back up their claims, and it's Steven Crowder. Steven Crowder does the exact same thing, where he will flash up an article and then say that it supports what he says, and then when you actually read the article, it shows that, not really.
Preyed upon. They're forced to resort to this.
Don't touch her! That's it. Help them have a healthy, safe life.
Healthy, safe life. Just not for the women and girls of Dundee.
Right. Again, your argument is that the majority of these migrants are rapists. You're just too cowardly to say it.
Ring theory strikes again. Septum.
Oh, septum theory, the thing that has no actual basis in reality. I'm so happy to see it creep up here again.
Piercing detected, opinion rejected.
We have the space for it. The government are just too scared to actually take that space and use it.
Yeah, not until every single tower block's full of predatory infinity Bemalians will...
Okay, yeah, no, maybe he's actually willing to say it. Maybe I should have just waited another couple seconds, and then he would have actually said that they are all just fucking rapists, because that is functionally what that statement is. If you say, hey, this building is filled with migrants, and then you also say it's filled with predatory Somalians, and your example that you have given are, gang rapes, then you're just saying that all migrants are rapists. That's just what you're saying. It is a fallacious statement. It doesn't have any backing in reality, and the only thing you can do is point to individual instances of it happening to say, oh, look, there is this very long-standing pattern. Even if the amount of times it's happening is functionally equivalent of 0.00001% of the population coming in. But don't worry, it's indicative of all of them.
This wrong be righted.
One thing we've been asking people is, if they're proud of British history.
Yeah, I'm sure this lot are staunch patriots.
Oh, no. God, no.
Yeah, so what part of British history are you supposed to be proud of? Is it trying to keep America under your thumb? Because we killed a bunch of you for that. Is it taking away the ability to actually self-actualize from a fuck ton of other nations in the area back when the sun couldn't set on the British Empire? Like, you can say that you're proud of what Britain is, but when you look at British history, much like when you look at American history, it's easy to not be proud of it, especially when you're asked to look at the whole of it.
We have... The UK has committed probably the worst crimes in history. Yeah. Like, on such a bigger scale and intensity than any other colonization that you could think of.
Yes, it was really terrible how we... Checks notes. Ended slavery, gave India and Africa roads, railways, ports, democratic parliaments, property rights, legal rights, schools, universities, hospitals, medication, sanitation, irrigation. Yeah, we're so bad.
You don't get taught it in England a lot, but we ruined so much of the world.
They literally get taught that British identity is racist and that British colonization is on a par with Nazi Germany.
Okay, but does that refute what they said? I'm just curious, Does that sentence that you said do anything to refute what they said about British history and what it's done to other nations? No? Okay, then. So it ended slavery by compensating the slave owners?
and to steal all of their food and ingredients. And we stole so many spices, and English food is shit. Literally. like, we didn't do anything with it.
That's a very, very common joke about Brits and, by extension, white people. I've heard it 1,000 times. I've seen it in 1,000 places. Whether or not you find it funny, likely is going to fall down to how much exposure you have to it.
Like, it's awful.
I know, right? Backwards England with its bland, boring food. They're literally eating fish and chips with peas.
What'd you say?
Okay. I'm glad that you're responding to a joke about that. Fun. Also, can I just say that there are few foods that sound more bland and boring than peas? And fish and chips, it's just salted potatoes and salted battered fish. That's it. That's all it is. It's delicious. I love it. I wish that Taco Mac still had fish and chips so I could get it on Saturdays. But you're responding to a joke. It's a joke we've seen 1 billion times. Where is the actual substance here? Where is the argument? Or is it just going to be a bunch of posts thrown in our face with no context as a way to justify random shit you've said, even though none of it actually does?
Scotland is different from England.
The government keeps basically going like, fuck you to Scotland, and stopping any of the more progressive laws they keep trying to pass and keeping them in a very right wing. Basically, if Scotland wants to do something good, England says no. Politically, Scotland is a lot more left leaning in the best possible way.
And what best possible progressive way would that be?
Like a lot of trans healthcare.
Locking up.
Yeah, trans healthcare is good, actually, but he's going to do the same thing he's been doing, where he's going to flash up a random fucking news article that doesn't say anything about what he's trying to argue. Parents who refuse children gender care face 7 years in jail in Scotland. Okay? So you have found one area that may or may not, I don't know the actual contents of this article, that may or may not point to a singular incident where one person got jailed when they shouldn't have, even though I'm going to go ahead and assume that by gender change, we're not talking about surgeries, we're talking about puberty blockers or, wearing a fucking dress. So no, the second line, though, SNP outlines proposal to ban conversion therapy after self-ID laws was blocked by UK government. Okay. How does this say anything about whether trans healthcare is good or bad? How does this say anything about that, Paul? It doesn't. Said our government has locked down on puberty blockers, about the only thing you can do is transition at home. Hey, everybody, let's talk about DIY HRT. Probably more important now than it has been before. Anyway.
Parents for 7 years if they refuse to allow their kids to change gender, arresting people for using...
Right. So, again, changing gender. What does that mean in this scenario? You're just showing the fucking article title. That doesn't mean shit. J.K. Rowling could be arrested for misgendering trans people, poll warns. POL warns. Is that the fucking poll board on 4chan? I refuse to believe that. I refuse to believe that. Also, if I remember, didn't we cover this scenario when it happened, and it turned out that what she was actually doing was equivalent of harassment? She wasn't just misgendering trans people, asterisk. There was actually notable harassment that was happening here.
The wrong pronouns and sterilizing children.
Puberty blockers prescribed to status children by NHS doctors who don't know risks. Puberty blockers don't sterilize kids. I don't know how to explain this in any better way than puberty blockers sterilize kids at about the same fucking rate that having a delayed puberty does, which doesn't sterilize you. So... it may increase your risk of being infertile, but so does wearing fucking tighty whities as a guy. Should we ban fucking tight underwear now? Also, another thing I want to point out with this article, just from what I'm looking at on not actually reading it, just reading the title and everything, puberty blockers prescribed to Scottish children by NHS doctors who don't know risks. Well, you put that in parentheses, so I'm assuming there's some caveat there. Also, there's plenty of medications that are used in the market where we don't have a 100% understanding of the risks involved with them. And with all medication, there is a non-zero amount of risk that is there. There are very few riskless medications one could take. Everything can be poisonous depending on how much of it you ingest. So, looking at this, between 90 and 100 children received puberty blockers between 2012 and what I'm assuming is December of 2024? 2023, because this was published in 2024. So, okay. That is, what, 10 kids a year-ish? Which, by the way, by the end of that, they would have had a chance to study those drugs. By the way, we've actually done some pretty extensive studies on puberty blockers. The risks are as follows. Basically, every risk that can be associated with late onset puberty is there with puberty blockers because they can enact that. And there is a risk to your bone density that can happen if you are taking them for prolonged periods of time. So you may need to get a calcium supplement later in life to handle that, which means it can be handled. Weird that. So what's the point here? Because we know what they do now. We know the risks involved, and we have a pretty decent bit of data on most of the effects that they have for people, at least up to, what, 20 or 30 years? Something like that. The only thing that we're truly lacking in regards to puberty blockers is data on the risks involved with them once somebody goes past the age of 35 or so, because we just don't have a giant sample size to work with at that point. So I'm not sure what you want. Do you want a world where no new medications are ever given to a populace ever, and the only time that we can give a new, maybe even life-altering for the better medication to people is when that med has been tested for the last 30 or 40 years, such that it takes 2 to 3 generations for any new medication to ever come out that can, like, help people in any way? Is that what you want? Or is this just being thrown up because you want something that seems like it makes your point for you, even though it doesn't? I'm going to assume the latter, actually.
Children, so progressive. Numerous studies have concluded that people with conservative beliefs are more physically attractive than leftists.
Okay, and there's also numerous studies that show that people with conservative beliefs are more likely to believe bullshit. They were actually worse at identifying when something was true. So why does that matter? Like, I would say this is a superficial argument, but it is in every way, shape, and form the definition of a superficial argument. Person is more attractive and is conservative. And what argument does that make? You find somebody unattractive? Cool. Why should I care? Like, why does that matter to me? Why is that an argument that matters to me? Why should it matter to me? He wouldn't be able to articulate that.
Conservatives have a higher threat/disgust sensitivity, while leftists, shall we say, subpar attractiveness motivates their bitter ideology that the world is inherently unjust.
No, I don't think that you can actually make the argument that lefties are ugly, therefore they want to overthrow capitalism. There are cats that don't stretch anywhere near that fucking hard, my guy.
Nose piercings, funny hairstyles, and tattoos are also driven by this sense of spiteful resentment.
So, my god, that is such a stupid fucking face to pause on. Holy shit, what an ugly fucking motherfucker. Oh, right, sorry, I forgot. That was your argument. Carla Rose, thank you for the follow. But, okay, so people get tattoos and dye their hair and do all kinds of things for all kinds of reasons. Some people do it out of spite. Some people do it to honor their parents because they died. Some people do it because of cultural reasons. There's tons of reasons why they do it. The reason why they do it, why does it matter? What argument does it even make anyway? Said that's genuine and literal ad hominem he's doing. So he's done ad hominem multiple times by just insulting looks instead of actually going for an argument, which I did as well in turn, which I think is perfectly reasonable. He's also done the hasty generalization fallacy, which we went over multiple times. He's also done a lot of tu quoque. The whataboutism that he has done has been a lot of, oh, that? What about this? Okay? That didn't refute what I said. You just changed the subject, dumbass.
Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you Exhibit A. And here's Exhibit B.
If someone said to me...
Okay, so hasty generalization and tu quoque together? No, sorry, not tu quoque. ad hominem together. What point? What am I supposed to be getting? What point is this supposed to make?
That I had to spend a week on an island, but I had the choice of 2 islands. One of those islands would be filled with British.
Is this man or bear? Is this the man or bear thing? Is that all it is? Man or bear? Once again, choose bear.
White patriotic men.
Whoa, wait a minute, love. Have you asked British white patriotic men if they want to spend a week on an island with you? Because
that's just a... Why does he do that? I'm just curious. Can anybody explain to me why he does that? Like, I can't fucking do it. This, like, gritting my teeth to say words thing? What is that? Because that looks profoundly stupid. I have no idea what that is. Said because he's British in the bad way? I'm just so confused.
Because you don't exactly look like the life and soul of the party.
Okay, what is the point of that? Then just, yeah, we'll just throw insult in there. That's cool. That's why I've been insulting him so much in this video, by the way. I refuse to do the absolutely asinine, stupid shit of they go low, we go high. I think that's a dumb take. So instead, I'm going to use the tools of my enemy when they show that those tools are appropriate. The more insulting somebody is, the more insulting I am willing to be. The less they care about data, I am willing to care about data just as less with them. Granted, that last one I'm going to try to do a lot less because I'd rather be correct than spiteful, but still. Said, and I agree that he'd be shrieking like a harpy if anyone did personal attack on him, even a fraction of as bad as he's dishing out. I don't believe that. Paul Joseph Watson has been in the game for long enough. I think he's got some pretty thick skin. Said, is he trying to imitate a gorilla? Gorillas will flash their teeth when angry. Jeez. Axel says, people who watch this guy also likely watch Butterfield. People who watch this guy are probably chronically lonely.
One of those islands would be filled with Muslim men.
An island filled with one white woman and a huge group of Muslim men. What could possibly go wrong?
I can 100% say that I would feel safe and secure on the island with Muslim men.
I disagree with that take. So, I do not feel safe being around a bunch of people if I don't have the ability to escape them, who identify so hard with their religion. I don't. Because there's going to be a likelihood from the Muslim men that they will treat you like property, because there are passages that talk about that. And there are just as many passages in the Bible that do the same fucking thing. But if we are talking about British patriotic men, we're likely talking about a bunch of people who are, chauvinistic, misogynistic, very, very likely at that point, just because the Venn diagram sometimes looks more like a circle. I can kind of see where you're getting at, where, like, one of these groups of people is likely a threat to you, and the other group of people you can roll your dice a little bit better with. But still. PJ says, but for you, it's not Islam that's the problem. I doubt this guy feels the same. So, but for you, it's not Islam that's the problem. Well, no, for me, it is Islam that's the problem there. So, if there's 100 people who subscribe to that religion, they are all male. I do not know if I am getting a bunch of the chill Muslims, or if I'm getting the unchill Muslims. Same thing if I'm told, like, this is an island with a bunch of Christians. Okay, cool. Let me just assume that it's NIFB Christians. I end up dead by the end of the week. Like, I don't survive that week, actually. I don't get a choice. If we're looking at both islands, and we are assuming the worst versions of both of those, the worst versions of the Muslim faith and the worst versions, if we're patriotic British people, then I guess we're going with nationalists at that point. Like, the worst versions of them are nationalists. I'd say both are bad. I would say both are bad. It says, either way, you're still stuck on an island full of 100 men. Sorry, I don't care if they're brown or white. I don't want to get raped. Yeah, you could just don't be on the island. So, Man, what was the statistic? Like 1 in 5 women have experienced sexual assault, something like that. And like, even if you extended that to, well, some of them considered sexual assault people looking at them weird, because some of the studies showed that, then you'd still, like, we can double the number then to account for that. 1 in 10 women there. Now we're saying that there's a chance that 10% of those men might harm you. And you can't always guarantee that the other 90 men will protect you, because most people who experience sexual assault tend to experience it from people who are close to them, from people who are family or friends of the family. And the men in their family didn't protect them when it happened, so... Zora says, so there's a chance that the Muslims are chill, but no chance to get all the chill Brits. If we are taking the worst scenario, then both of them have no chance for chill. If we are talking the nationalistic British people, and we are talking the the more like tribalistic Muslim population that you would see like in charge of the regime in Iran, then no. If you've got an army of like Zoran Mamdanis, then maybe it's chill. But then on the inverse of that, for the British island, you've also got an army of chill British people, probably. Like, that's just... I can't think of a chill British person right now because I think it's a fake culture that doesn't really exist. I'm kidding. If we're talking worst case scenario, you're right. But if we're talking best case scenario, we're not doing really good. Best case scenario, in either case, you're still dealing with an island of men. And statistics bear out that by the end of that, something bad is likely going to happen to you. Axel says the only one that comes to mind is Constantine. I'm thinking of real people, not fictional people. Real people. Like, if I have to be on an island with, if we're talking real people, if I have to be on an island with 100 Zoran Mamdanis or 100 Paul Joseph Watsons, I'm taking the Zoran Mamdanis. I'm taking the Mamdanis. I'm sorry. That's where I'm going. Nothing is stopping me from choosing that one. I'm sorry, no. So we're talking patriotic Brits, not just any Brits ever. True. Which, again, increases the likelihood. But this is the red and blue button scenario, where it's a hypothetical to see where you think about something, but not everybody answers honestly until push comes to shove there either. I'll just say I can understand why women choose bear. It makes sense to me. But I'm not sure what I'm supposed to get out of this either if it's just him saying, look, here is another ugly woman, but she's not ugly. Like, she's just a woman. And whether you find her attractive or not is going to come down to your personal taste. For me, I'm a glasses guy, so ballpark's out there, but I also don't fucking know her. So, Demi for the win. You're choosing Mudkip? Yeah. Yeah, you heard I liked Mudkip. Cheeseville, thank you for the follow. Can I have a permanently charged taser for this? I would rather have gun. Actually, if I have the option, I'd take a gun. Personally. But I don't know. I've read Lord of the Flies, so I don't like any of these scenarios. None of these scenarios sound good to me. You never know if you're going to end up being Porky in those scenarios. I'm not watching any more of his video. We're at 35 minutes. He's done with the part that I cared about. It's just a bunch of fallacies wrapped together in a veneer of being a snide asshole, which makes money. It makes money. I'm not going to deny that it is a very, very highly lucrative career that he has there, doing functionally nothing. That said, I do want to take a look at the comment section real quick and see kind of what we're dealing with here. A table where no critical thought has ever been had. My guy, you're watching a Paul Joseph Watson video. Every stereotype has been verified with that group. Okay. Hasty generalization, my favorite. This are evil people who believe they are the good guy. You can't convince me that's not a goddamn bot. You can't. These pretentious, deranged weirdos deserve their future. Okay, every side is going to say that about the other side. That's not okay, I'm bored. I didn't find an ounce of intelligence when I quickly glanced into the Paul Joseph Watson comment section. I'm not surprised, but that's not an argument for or against him. His words are. Blarkin says she takes good care of her skin, quite obvious even in the poor lighting. Yeah. Like, again, This is why Sargon of Akkad fell out of relevance as hard as he did when he did the I wouldn't even rape you thing. Like, because so much of their humor relies on them going, you look like X, so I make fun of you for Y. It doesn't make any sense. Like, if you actually scrutinize it, it doesn't make any sense. Because no amount of a person's looks denotes anything about their politics, anything about their opinions, anything about... The most you could gain is like maybe some lifestyle things. Like if somebody's overweight, you're rolling the dice on, well, do they eat a lot of fast food? Do they just cook really greasy food? Do they overeat? Are they depressed? Are they looking with thyroid problems? But at that point, again, once more, we're dealing with another issue where you don't know anything about the person's life from there. You still have a sea of assumptions you have to make there. I know who this appeals to, because this appeals to me. This appeals to the me that existed 12 years ago. So 12 years ago, thereabouts, give or take a year or two, I was very, very depressed, playing a lot of League of Legends and watching a lot of Leafy is Here. And this is the kind of thing that I would have found entertaining back then, because I would have thought the catharsis of watching a person make fun of other people who I deem under me would have been really, really appealing back then. Leafy is Here poisoned an entire culture of people. I swear to God. Sagame Star says, same, unfortunately. Yup. Axis says, do they have a disability that causes mobility problems? Yeah, who knows? Though I will say with the mobility thing, mobility and diet only account for 20% of weight gain and weight loss. So mobility only accounts for about 20% of weight loss. You can try to burn all the calories you want in the gym, but realistically, it's almost always going to come down to calories in, calories out. And the easiest way to control for that is going to be to eat less food. As evidenced, since I have been on Contrave, I've been able to lose 20 pounds because I've been eating less food, because the medicine has helped me eat less food. So, Orla says exercise just means you get to eat more food if you're bulking. Yeah. Anyway, that's the Paul Joseph Watson video. I'm getting out in the weeds. We're going to go ahead and close this one out. He's depressing to watch. Hey, you made it to the end. I want to give an extra thanks to the patrons who allow me to do this full time. I want to thank Aaron Rail, Astral, Britzkrieg, Jemshin, Poundini, Red Joker, Victoria, Jonas, Craig, Tarika, Fireshard, Smiling GM, John, Dren Hadamada, Creeper, Sagitta, you know I'm not saying that last part, Sylvie Snow, Valis of Seraph, Ottoman Angel, Rooster Rachel, and Fire Panda, who are all my $20 and up patrons.